guys. My name is Luki, and I'm going to be your host today. And today we're going to be talking about the black child. We see that the black child has been affected all over the world with different circumstances. Some of the circumstances can include cultural shock, can be the environment we're in, and above all, we believe that as a black child, we always start in a negative balance. So, in this series, we're going to be covering a lot of topics, and in these topics, we're going to be fitting them in 10 episodes. Today, we are being graced by our special guest today, who happen to be.
Tubasa Wachiba.
My name is Rafara Moto.
And in today's episode, we're going to be focusing on rape and allegations.
We just gonna rip the band-aid off like that.
We gotta rip
man,
the
that's
band-aid off,
crazy.
man, because I believe this is something that a lot of black kids are just suffering out here, guys.
That's serious, bro. Go to try. You got a little something. You had a little. What's the way? You had a little
Encounter?
encounter. A little encounter. All right,
Talk to us, brother.
Things are
to
real
us,
serious
man.
out here. Yeah, things are real serious out here. Like, honestly, I'm baffled right now. But thing is about this topic, it's like it's a very sensitive topic, and like most people don't see how serious it is, and how serious effects can be, and like sometimes the act itself of rape. Yeah, like it's like obvious. No, not sometimes. All the time, it's actually kind of messed up. It's really messed up. What's worse is like an allegation that is a false allegation. Really, like because not only does it traumatize like the person who, who is experiencing the allegation, but at the same time, kind of puts a like this weight on them and makes them feel like like really really bad because obviously like they're going through something that they really didn't think that they would have to go through in their life. So, yeah.
Oh, all right. So, in these allegations, like, how do you, as a victim of such circumstances, what are the feelings and some of the things that you have to deal with in having to encounter all these things?
Damn. You just gonna call me out like that. All right.
It's all right, brother. We're all safe up in here. We just want to let you know this journey, shed a light so that we can speak for everybody else that's out there. So it's all right.
First feeling that I remember encountering is like one of guilt. Like you may be even in the right about this, but at the same time, like I don't know. In a way, it's kind of like you feel responsible for for the position that you put yourself in. And sometimes, whether you had anything to do with it or whether you didn't, either way, it's gonna leave you feeling like very vulnerable, very like you want to close off, and like you don't want to talk to anyone, you don't want to be around anyone, you don't have trust in anyone anymore because especially the person who's just accused you of doing this heinous act. Yeah, you really have like a lot of resentment towards them, but at the same time, it's a whole lot of mixed emotions. Really, like that's what it is. Like.
And what would you think on this topic, Bas?
I would say this topic is really complex because in order for somebody to accuse somebody of such an act, there has to have been some sort of events that have led up to that. Like it's so like some people are so quick to not so quick, like so quick to jump to the worst possible case possible. Like you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like let's say you're with somebody and then you guys aren't necessarily together and you guys get together but then y'all have a fallout and then 1 week later you're hearing stories that such and such says that you had done this act to them. Like it's gotta
I guess you.
it's really deep and we'd have to have somebody who has been in that situation to explain as to why they would resort to such actions, like because like that is really, it's a really deep thing to put on somebody. Like rape, that's serious, man. And like after all after there's no proof that has been supplied, like just saying somebody has raped you is like a big statement towards, like, it's a big statement compared to somebody saying no, I didn't, because then there'll be lots of questions asked, and then the person who's not even in the wrong has to go through all these loops just to prove that they were innocent in that situation. You know, like, we gotta take care of each other.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I think on this gentleman, I can pick out that it seems like it just gives a very heavy weight that just gets put on you. And I guess in a lot of cases, you guys don't know where to exactly start, because some of them can be coming across as a false accusation, and some of it can actually come across as if, like, you're this type of person that's been portrayed, but maybe it might not be the character of the person that you encompass to be. So how do you think you actually tackle when such things happen?
Well, in the case that you are the person being accused and you are in the right, like it's a false allegation.
Yeah.
I think it's like a call to reassess the people in your circle, the people who you associate with, just so you can figure out what went wrong, or like who are the people that were responsible in a way. But like, you gotta also look at both sides of the story. There are some rape allegations which would turn out to be true as well. But you gotta also take everything with a grain of salt, as in, like, if somebody comes forth to you with a rape allegation, you gotta try to be as supportive as you can to try to see where it will lead to. Like, they might actually be in need of help. Don't turn them away just because you might not suspect that person to be a person who would commit such an act.
Yeah, that's definitely a valid point. Like, you don't want to just the way to handling it really is not like by either getting revenge or being vengeful. Like, it's not about that at all. Really, like, it's about like understanding. Like, that this person might have been through something, and they might have just, like, this allegation that they've made against you might be coming from a deeper place than.
Yeah, you gotta take a step back and try to scope out the whole picture.
Analyze the thing, and once you're analyzing, that means really keeping it, like, tight. Don't be out here just like, I don't know, doing the most really about it. Just like, kind of just put yourself in their shoes, put yourself like in a third person's perspective, and try and get, like, some clarity. If you gotta talk to someone about it, really do, please, because like it really is something big. Like, it's not something that you can just like walk away from and just be like, oh yeah, it's all good, like nothing's gonna come out of this, because really, like, there's a lot that comes out of it. Like, you begin to doubt yourself as well. Like, you just kind of like, oh man, am I really this person? Like, damn well that you're not that person, but like at the same time, like, especially you're not that person, but still, there's gonna be self-doubt. And really what to do in that situation is like to just, I don't know, like, reevaluate things. Yeah, like you said, reevaluate, sit back a little bit, see which ways you can go about this. And when it comes to, like, the biggest pressure is obviously like other people, whether it be like the girl's friends or like or whoever's gonna come at you is gonna come at you, right? But in that situation, the best thing to do is just be calm. Like, be calm, be collected. Don't answer questions, because like, anything that you do say can and will be used against you. Like,
Certainly. I think in this world that we live in, also, it seems like a lot of things that you might be saying can be used either for or against you. So, gentlemen, do you really think that rape is only dominant on the female side, or do you reckon for us male side it also matters to, considering that we're not always speaking about such heinous acts or anything that's happening to us? Could it be a shame that maybe because you've experienced it as a young person, so when you speak up to your elders, they might look at you as if like you're sideways or anything, or try to discriminate you into type of person that they might think, since you say all these things, you're probably gay, did you like it, and some questions. How do you guys take upon it? Like, how are you going to really address the situation and confront it and come out without any damage? What would you guys do in such places?
With the topic of male victims and rape, like, That's one of many topics which do not get enough light within like these times. Like it's just as crucial, it's just as impacting as females getting raped, because male or female, rape is rape. It's like it's like a somebody's taking something away from you that you hold so dear, something that is so that you cherish, and no matter who it is, it should be there should be a light put on it. Like if you ever feel like it's hard to talk to somebody, like let's say somebody who you think is close to you, and you feel like you have fears that they would take you and see you in a different light, or like look down upon you just because you're discussing something that has happened to you, then I would suggest that you maybe try not expand, reassess who you can maybe try talk to somebody who's more comforting, less judging, like that you would, because like I feel like us as men, boys, men, uncles and fathers, we're raised to be, or we're not really raised, the way we go through life, we end up masking almost all of our feelings just in order to be the stronger person within either relationship or like in a sibling situation. You got to be the strong brother looking after everybody because everybody else is emotional. Somebody has to be that person who's the symbol of like keeping it together, the symbol of like just holding it together. But I feel like sometimes we need to be more expressive, like not expressive, like we gotta
allow ourselves to feel.
Right.
Like allow yourself to just let the emotions run through, so you can get to deal with it properly without having to contain all these feelings emotions locked up inside. Because I believe as a male, you're always raised to be the head of a situation that you're in and not to show emotion. So do you believe that these are some of the factors that would really compromise some of the judgments that we make in real life?
Yeah, definitely. Like personally, I don't believe in that, like you can't be out here showing emotions, because honestly, like emotions are very like, they're a big thing, they contribute to like every decision that we make. Really, like we men try to mask it as, like us being emotionless and just, being very like, I don't know, critical. But the truth is, we're not really critical. We do have some emotional sway into like decisions that we make. We just choose to mask it as, logic. And thing is, like, men, we have a big way. We have a long way to go. We do have a long way to go. Because
redemption on all these things.
Yeah, because
hey, like I get you. We get you. Like it's kind of hard that we are placed in this pedestal in society where we're supposed to be the people that look for solutions based on everything that's happening around us, be it a pandemic, be it an outbreak, or be it in a crisis or a situation. And as much as all these pressures encompass us, we fail to really express all these things, and let alone including the allegations. It cannot be only just for rape only. It can be for something that's way diverse, like let's say a situation just happens that you have no control over, but because
men, we have a big way. We have a long way to go.
We
do have a long way to
go. Redemption on all these things.
Because
I get you. We get you. Like it's kind of hard that we are placed in this pedestal in society where we're supposed to be the people that look for solutions based on everything that's happening around us, be it a pandemic, be it an outbreak, or be it in a crisis or a situation. And as much as all these pressures encompass us, we fail to really express all these things, and let alone including the allegations. It cannot be only just for rape only. It can be for something that's way diverse, like let's say a situation just happens that you have no control over, but because you're the male figure and you're the one who's seen as the dominant force, so everybody else that's surrounding you is seen as a submissive subsidiary to what you're doing. It puts all these pressures that even such topics like rape and allegations and everything that's been committed, it weighs down on you and hardens you inside. That I guess some people, when they see that, you don't cry, they say, oh, he's a hard man, he doesn't let anything get down to you. But along the lines, these are the points where you get to see a lot of men, having not dealt with these situations, start to lay hands on their women, start to lay hands on their children, and start being abusive or probably excessive drinking. Some of them might just go to be doing all these illicit drugs, or some of the way of finding ways of trying to sort of release the stress.
One thing that I don't think is being addressed enough is like within family matters, family members raping other family members, like a girl being raped by her auntie, her uncle, or a guy being raped by their auntie or uncle. I mean, look, it goes both ways. So, what y'all think?
First, I gotta say, at first glance, I am
Disgusted.
Yes, I'm
disgusted. Yeah, say it, brother. Say it loud. Say it louder.
Just hearing that and his knowing that that's a part of who we are, like as a black person. There's so many emotions that go through your mind and your heart. You're angry, confused, disgusted, and then you try to make sense in your head as to what the motivations of the person who is the aggressor in that situation. Like, what do you think somebody in that situation, what would somebody that is your family member, your uncle, you see, let's say you're an uncle, you got a niece or nephew, what would it have to go through your mind for you to not only have to put them in that situation, but to go through with it multiple times? Like, what kind of motivations do you think anybody would have in that? Like, what would be going through their mind? Like,
to be honest with you, man, I honestly think that it's like just a recycle, whereby people, like, this could have started generations ago, this person is, exposed to this type of behavior, this type of unacceptable actioning of, oh, I got this type of feeling, right? Like, yeah, you know what, I feel like going through with this thing. And then they go through with that thing, right? Okay, cool. So this just happened to this boy, right? So, throughout most of his life, he's trying to figure it out and everything else. It never does. Never does. Because guess what? Us as black people, we don't really like, sorry, but
we
like
don't
the
like
old
disclosing
generation.
a lot of
don't
like disclosing a lot of things, because we like to keep it either in the family, to keep a family image, and to just be like, you know what, down the track, it's just going to solve itself.
Exactly. And it never
pray
does.
to God, and God is gonna find us an answer, which really it never does, because that thing is gonna keep on growing with you, because you're gonna end up having soon aspiring to have a family, have some co-workers around you, and with that fear instilled in you and those traumas that you had to go through and they have not been resolved, or being part of the journey of being resolved and not the appropriate help given, it's just going to destroy everything that's just surrounding you. And also the trust. Like, if you can actually think that this person is able to do such a thing towards to maybe a family member or someone who you're close to, now you can imagine the consequences and some of the doubts that you're going to raise when you finally have something of your own, and you have to come to a time where you have to trust that person to take care of something that is of your blood. You're going to always have those questions, those doubts, and something along the lines, you start having a lot of thoughts that pushes you into overthinking, that pushes you into having all these hallucinations floating all over. Now you're not able to live freely.
Now, what's even worse is actually like when, this has been done to you, right?
Right.
And obviously it's not okay, right?
Definitely.
But because you grew up with it, it was surrounding you all the time. What's to say that you're not going to just
gonna actually follow.
You're gonna do it. You're gonna follow suit, right? You're gonna follow suit, and then the next generation, and then the next generation, because that's how these things start. Like they don't just come out of nowhere and be like, oh, okay, cool, let me just do this, right? It comes from like, okay, this generation was unresolved. All right, let's move our problems on to the next generation. Then the next generation is not going to be able to solve it, and then we're going to move on to this generation, right? And at the moment, we're actually in a unique position to be able to sort it out. So like, this is why we're here right now, man.
If we shed light on it, we have an opportunity to sort of break the cycle, not break
That's right.
entirely, but start to chip away at it
That's right.
in ways that we couldn't before, because we, as young Black people, we are probably the most talkative, not like talkative, like we communicate.
Expressive.
Yeah, expressive. We're more expressive than our past generation, our past elders and things like that. Like the thing about rape, I read once in a do you know Angelina Jolie?
Yeah.
She did a speech about rape one time. We learned about it in high school, and that she was saying it has nothing to do with pleasure, but almost all to do with power. And I take that in a way, like in this conversation, I take that like, if you are a victim, you don't, going quiet is just further
reinstating the power over you instead of you coming out to break out and stand up and say, this is not right. This is not right. This is something that has to be changed. And the more we keep quiet, the more we let these people that are not innocent have to get away with it, and then they carry on that tradition, which brings to all the generational cases of some of the things that we encompass with our uncles. Because I'm pretty sure with that uncle or that auntie, for that fact, would have literally noticed that happening to someone else, and in their minds, at that time when it happened, it felt like it is something appropriate. That is something that is part of the culture that happens.
And by going quiet about it, we're further adding to this wheel that's forever spinning. If we shed some light on it, like let's say I'm a victim, I say something about it, that's not gonna instantly make things better for myself, but somebody who is about to be or has been in that situation could also then be put in a better position.
Feel like they're being heard and their stories is being talked out.
That's the thing.
Definitely.
Like also, it kind of like gives you that sense of empowerment. You see, that's the thing. Like another thing that we're like really saying, like the word that we're saying a lot is victim, which is replace that word for survivor. Because you don't just claim victim to this thing. You gotta like they're surviving it. You know what I mean?
It's about perspective, how you see it.
Yeah, exactly. It's about how you see it. And the thing is, if we keep on like putting this out like as a victim type thing, nobody wants to be a victim. Like that's the truth. Like as much as I've seen it, like a lot of people just oh, I'm a victim of this. I'm a victim of this. I'm a victim of this. Right? Think about it more as like you're a survivor of this. Right? You've gone through so much. In the end of the day, there's going to be some result, right?
It'll give you a better fighting chance.
Yeah, it gives you a fighting chance to be able to, like, overcome it. And part of being a survivor is also, just like being able to, like, share your experience, you know what I mean? Like, it's like the army vets, they share their experiences, right? They go through PTSD. Everyone goes through PTSD for multiple different reasons, right? But the path to recovery is obviously being able to acknowledge that, okay, this thing has happened. And it needs to be addressed. But which way am I going to take it? Am I going to take it as a victim of, the world that's around me, or am I going to take it as a survivor? And then, being able to
come back
to stronger.
Yes,
yeah,
sir.
exactly.
I guess the road to redemption literally sometimes doesn't have a map or a GPS, because
That's
sometimes the time has to always be manifested. Some time has to be spent for it to manifest into something that it can be far greater than something that has just died away, being quiet, where people don't really address it. And I think also in touching base of the PTSDs, and we're looking now at the mental health state of that person, which brings back the point that I raised earlier about you having to overthink and start having all these hallucinations and start having all these fears that you have surrounding you. Instead of it letting you be free, have decisions, and to actually grow, all it does is just occupies your mind, shrinks you, stops your growth, and encompasses you with all these things that become roadblocks. Even it can be found in maybe school, work, or even an activity that you'll be doing, you won't be able to be thinking further away from a situation that have happened previously. And sometimes you don't know why it's happening because everything around you just seem to be going towards the negative, the negative side of things where you always have to always think an extra mile. And sometimes you imprison your mind. And when you imprison your mind, literally a lot of things can be controlled over you because it's just narrow and it's not broad and you're not able to see all different channels that could have helped that situation. So I believe the word replacing the word victim to survivor is actually a good thing because it gives an empowerment. It also gives someone a platform and a say to say, hey, I've gone through this. I know what it feels like. These are the things that we're facing, and we have got to stop it so that the other person doesn't have to go through it. And I think it's up to us, the people that are growing up in this era where we have all the platforms, we've got social media, we've got the media coverages, we've got exposure, even some of the rallies that we can ever do out there. We are able to expose without having an oppression based on either a colonial rule or a government rule that just restricts. We just have to have that power to demonstrate and to put a point across because sooner or later, one day it might be your child.
Yeah.
That's the deepest thing that's going to really catch you when it becomes your child because you've been avoiding all these things all along. But then it just strikes and then you don't know what to do. Now, instead of you dealing with it, now you put in all the anger, the frustrations, and all everything onto either your spouse or to probably some of your family members. You start complaining a lot. Then it just starts affecting and killing everything that's just surrounding you. So I guess it's very, very important that we also seek to have the appropriate services to put in place in terms of the mental health that it gets affected after such events happen.
I'm gonna go back
That's my take.
I picked up a little light bulb sparked in my head when you were talking about I think it was negativity and spreading of
things. like negativity just keeps Josie from
bruh, you should have seen this light bulb. I was saying okay, so we have the aspect of this topic where if you were a survivor and you go to speak up about it to family members, it's going to, the motivations that are going against you with that is that it's going to ruin a family image or things are going to be said about you that will discourage your truth.
That's right.
What we got to do as young people, we need to be able to find a way to uplift and comfort each other so then we can sort of rally up and build up
a support network.
A support network that would help people who are victims and survivors and also comfort and not make
not
people
chase them
feel,
away and cast them out as if
away.
they're outcasts because such a thing has happened to
them. If somebody does come to you with if they tell you that they've been going through this, instead of being that person that goes to straight away say, oh, did you hear that this person happened to this and that?
Right.
We need to be able to find a way. We need to find a way to be able to comfort each other and be able to use our, what is it called? Be a good person in a way where you try to actually help instead of being the spreader of news. You need to be able to actually
you have to
tackle the situation
so that you can tackle and give a hand like Good Samaritan, where you're able to actually do something to help a situation instead of you having to be the news that just spreads it around and then just hope for a miracle.
Approach it without ego. You need to try to help.
Right.
Somebody's coming to you for help. You don't come and you take it to tailor the situation to your advantage and try to make it seem like you were the person, the hero that I raised awareness that my friend had gone through this. You need to actually help you in a way you're going backwards.
Yeah.
We gotta help each other. We gotta.